How many of you feel that dating is weird and frustrating as hell? You're in too many people's heads. That's what's causing the confusion. Get back in your own head and take it one act at a time. I learned this from my dad. He told me that when he first met my mom, she was always telling him what a nice guy her friend Bob was and that she thought I would really like Bob. My dad said he always agreed with her and never made a move. Then one day he said to himself, fuck Bob, and started hitting on her. I need some elaboration cause I'm your dad's situation RN. Lived with 4 other guys in college. One of my roommates, RM1, thought that the other roommates, RM2, girlfriend was attractive. RM2 was not in a healthy relationship with his girlfriend, but abusive or anything, but argued over everything. RM1 finally said F it, I can treat her better, and she left RM2 for RM1. They are now married with a baby girl on the way and have an extremely happy relationship. It completely destroyed RM1 and RM2's friendship though. They were extremely close before that happened. TL, doctor, is your friendship more valuable, as in a lifelong healthy friendship? Or do you actually think you could marry the woman in question? I see. That's very sweet NGL. I'm friends with someone. We started with me asking her out. Went out a bit, and then I had some issues. After that we've just been hanging out as friends. Dating other people. But I've caught feelings. I DC about the other person, not my friend. Also casual, but the lady has become an actual friend. So if I tell her about my feelings and ask her to date, I will be saying goodbye to the friendship, should it not go my way. Edit. It's not a very long-term friendship, about 6 months or so. It's mostly fear of loss on my side. Yeah, modern dating has sucked for a long time. Technology has only made it worse. Honestly, at this point I would just love Matchmaker. Yes, something has to change. There was a city in Ireland used to have a big matchmaking fest. I gave up, it's so frustrating. Honestly, the last few dates I was on put a really sour taste in my mouth. This one girl could not stop talking about how much she liked being single and sleeping around with lots of guys. She didn't want to get hitched to anyone again. Just not very convinced of her fidelity. Honestly, my main issue is that so much expectation is put on the man, and with how everyone just wants sex so quickly without barely knowing me, it's such a turn off. Like, I just want hang out and watch a movie. This 100%. Lot of pressure to perform. XGF used to joke that I was an edger cause I waited like 2 months to FF for the first time. What's an edger? Getting a GF and getting a job were remarkably similar processes for me. I sent out multiple applications, went on multiple first and second round interviews, stuck around until I waited to hear back with an offer, and eventually had to pick one. I'm not sure if this answers the question, but it was kinda weird. I quit my last job, sent out one application, and got a new job a week later at almost double my last pay. I ended my last relationship 6 years ago, and I've been on 2 dates in that time. Imagine being unemployed for 6 years and having only 2 unsuccessful job interviews. Okay, but how many dating applications are you sending? When I was unemployed I was applying to 5 a day. You having a 100% success rate with one job application is rare, unless you have inside contact, but good work. When I wasn't in relationships, I was on a dating app multiple times a day. I avoided dating apps for many years because I was overweight and I figured they wouldn't work. I lost some weight, enough for me to feel confident enough to give them a try. So I bought some new clothes, got out my DSLR, and spent a day trying to get one good photo of myself to use. Eventually I did. I added a few candid shots to round out the profile, filled in all the prompts, etc etc. Nothing. 0 matches. Never once actually managed to speak to someone. So I gave up on that pretty quickly. After a few months of swiping on and off I figured it was a waste of time. There are times when I find ordering a sandwich at Potbelly to be weird and frustrating as hell. Dating is beyond what I want to deal with. I'm impaired when it comes to this stuff. You gotta forge your own path and stop listening to people. Ever notice the things women say and do are entirely different? Pay attention to what works and not what people say works. I don't know if don't take women's words seriously is the healthiest dating advice. Prioritize their actions over their words. I follow this, and dating is 100% better. So again, don't take women's words seriously. That is literally the logical equivalent of what you're saying. You shouldn't take anyone's words seriously if their words do not align with their actions. If a man tells you he wants something, but spends half his time sabotaging the thing he says he wants, his words can't be trusted. To hold women to a different standard is sexist. Yeah, it is why I gave up. Yeah, it's weird. I had a great date last week. We seemed to really connect, and she was laughing a lot, but nope. Nothing after that. For once, I'm not sure how I fumbled that bad. It's not a new phenomenon. When I was dating in the early 1980s, it was trying at times. And there is no magic code. I met a few dates in college, one on vacation, a couple at work, and my last at a music festival. What's worked for me is just being myself and looking for signals. I met one girl at a surf shop. She was helping me out and was paying a lot of attention to me, so I asked her out. That's been all of my dates. I think I'm average, but have been told otherwise. I go to the gym, but I'm no beast. I'm 5'11", abs, weigh 200 number. I can be a sweetheart and I can be a salty old fucker. I'm impressed you're still hitting the gym at your age. Bravo, man. Keep it up. 60 now. 80 aim and 1980s. It is a relatively difficult time for men to date, and yeah, just gotta keep your head up cause there are some dope ladies out there worth your time. It is a relatively difficult time for men to date, and yeah, controversial opinion without filters, in my opinion. This is mostly due to online dating / dating apps. They are heavily biased towards women. The average woman will have a plethora of men to choose from, while the average man will have none. And it is men, being naturally thirsty men, that is incentivizing women to continue using these apps by swiping right, giving women positive reinforcement, and giving them some entitled sense of something. Women thrive on the attention these apps give them. Wow, I'm actually more attractive than I had thought. Poor me. I have too many choices. Best solution, men. Get off dating apps. Approach in real life to women who you actually find attractive, rather than for sport / pickup practice, or merely trying to make a woman stay better. Women will have no choices online, and so they uninstall dating apps too, and take real life approaches seriously. Then, dating will become a normalized thing that everyone does with their normal imperfections, as opposed to something that is mostly exclusive for people who seem basically perfect / can tick all the boxes. I can't tell if I'm being toxic here. I hope not. To be clear, the blame is not women, but everyone, including men who use dating apps. The pickup phenomena is a way for men to cope with modern society's dating shortfalls. Thanks to dating apps. Let me know how if you think I'm over my head. In the end, I'm just a lonely dude who have basically given up. I don't get it. Close bracket. The solution doesn't really work to end dating apps cause the men most women swipe on aren't incentivized to delete the app, haha. But yes, meeting women in real life is the move. I'm a way above average looking guy. Slim but tall. Carry myself confidently. Not trying to toot my own horn. But it's important for how I've managed in the world of dating. I actually do get women approaching me in the city I live, giving me their numbers when I ask, adding me on Instagram, etc. Have been with some very attractive women in the past few years. So my issue nowadays I'm mentally fucked. I have horrible PTSD and am now medicated for bipolar. I spent so much time isolating from society after some events last year that I have truly become pretty weird and out of touch. I never reach out to these women I meet again, nor do I even know how I would, as I don't really do much or go to many places but bars and work. I can approach a woman confidently somewhere, and she immediately will show interest. Then after some time I can tell she is losing interest / weirded out / uncomfortable. I don't even have the self-awareness to gauge anymore. For myself right now, all of my focus is going to working on myself. From what I have told already and beyond, I'm mentally not prepared. I need to continue healing my own past and becoming comfortable with myself alone. I do not live the sort of life I'd be ready to bring a partner into right now. That includes the hobbies, lifestyle, goals. I watch porn since my last breakup, have been very reclusive, and struggle to take care of myself consistently. Self-care, clean living space, etc. I have not fully created financial stability for myself. If any of you can relate to these things, do you think you are ready? Your own opinion. Are you aware of the effects of porn on dating and the view of sex? Are you confident in who you are, with a life that you yourself are happy with, before you attempt to bring someone else into it? Relationships can get boring. That's life. But they should not start out boring, stressful, etc. They should be fun, or passionate, or happy. When we do the work on ourselves, women can see that, and they will not turn away from the opportunity of being with you. If you haven't done the work on everything above, how many of those things do you think they can pick up on? Do you think you hide it well? You probably don't. Even if you can't see what exactly it is. Like me, the best thing you can do is starting hammering out the list. No point in dating anymore. It's a lot of jumping through hoops, mostly not worth it. The women in the same league as want a guy that almost doesn't exist. The day I stopped trying to view life as X, Y, Z thing with this boundary and that boundary, and just decided to live and treat people with respect, but voice my own desires, it got easy. I guess in a way dating is hard, but really it's just finding another human that you enjoy spending time with and find attractive. It's that simple. Even things like first date ideas shouldn't be automatic but based on shared interests, for example. Just organic. EHH. Since I got out of an LTR at this time last year, I've been managing decently well. Went out with a couple dozen girls. Some funny stories. Some boring dates. Some great dates that went nowhere after. A 5-month fling that I ended. And since November, the woman I'm currently seeing. And at least to date, the girl seems incredibly sweet and is overall an intelligent and kind woman. So no huge complaints there. As someone who's dated men who were my friends first, I feel like I can provide insight into what that advice is actually supposed to mean and what it doesn't tell you. In the 4 instances where my guy friends eventually became men I dated, our friendships were never purely platonic from the get-go. The common thread that I've noticed is that these men all knew how they felt about me right at the beginning, i.e., they were attracted to me / liked me and communicated that to me in some way or the other. This made things easier because they essentially left the ball in my court and I didn't feel pressured. In fact, it made me feel comfortable enough to reciprocate. This then organically progresses the friendship further with a constant undercurrent of flirting and sexual tension that both parties can feel. I say this as someone who has experienced quite a few situations where it came as a shock to me, and it feels really unpleasant when someone you thought was a friend suddenly expresses their intense attraction and desire to sleep with you out of nowhere. So please don't do that. Ultimately, the main difference is in the circumstances. Where the men did it right was when they stayed true to themselves and how they felt and communicated that to me, so I wasn't blindsided by their attraction or interest. Do you remember how they communicated it to you? I seriously think that the English language is a barrier to normal dating. You have words that we don't have equivalencies from in the languages I know, or if we do, we don't use them every day. Creep, gaslighting, grooming, to name just a few. Don't put those 3 weird labels on someone that approached you and says it's a nice day, how are you, when it's raining. There is an enormous difference in how you can approach people in the US, Northern Europe and Asia, where I live now. US. Terribly difficult unless you are on an app. Europe medium but can still approach. Asia. Smile. She smiles back. Say hi. And the marriage will be next week. I'm a guy and I wish there was a way to start off writing to each other and advance slowly from there as you get to know each other more. I guess I'm weird cause everyone looks at me oddly when I say that. Woman browsing here, and I think this is the way. 100%. It's how all my serious / long-term relationships have started. In my experience, when you hit trouble, which every relationship does, you have to rely on communication. And if you don't already have that in place, you're done. Exactly. Dating is the definition of insanity. Getting better at something comes from experience and advice from people with experience. You've been getting advice from the wrong people. Dating is weird and frustrating. No question about that. The answer to your question is some women want to be approached in public. Some don't. Some want to be friends first. Some don't. So just do what you want to do and mesh with someone who has similar viewpoints. In regards to approaching, you have to do it the right way. Every single woman I know has stories of creepers approaching them. The key is to do it in an environment and in a way that makes them feel safe, not cornered, and not obligated to respond a certain way. Just flip the situation in your head. Ask if a girl who you did not find attractive approached you in this way. How would you feel about it? Would you be uncomfortable? Or would you be flattered but have to decline? Lastly, just keep your head up. It's easy to become bitter and defeatist about these things after some failures. But that attitude is toxic. This sub is full of it. In fact, the minute you adopt that attitude, you torpedo any chance you might have had. I promise if you keep your head up, keep positive, and keep improving yourself as a person, it'll all be worth it someday. Also, one further part, don't just talk to women. Be the guy everyone wants to be friends with, who's genuinely fun to be around and makes people feel good. Those guys get the most girls' and they don't always have the best looks. Also, I will not be responding to any comments telling me how women only want to date chads, rules 1 and 2, etc. If you choose to follow my advice, I will be happy to elaborate and give you pointers. But I'm not going to bother to try and convince you that there isn't a global conspiracy to keep all but the top 10% of men deprived of female attention. Men and women alike have a hard time accepting that both sexes, before being men or woman, are human. And with that comes the infinite combination of traits, experiences and upbringing that lead to limitless arrays of likes and dislikes. The fact of the matter is there is no easy one-answer solution beyond learning how to treat humans like humans, including treating yourself like one. Everyone wants to date something that isn't just a human being anymore. It's stupidly frustrating, and I've given up. It's hard to stay motivated when there's no sense of progression. I don't mind approaching women, but when you get rejected constantly or ghosted, it gets old very fast. Dating as an average guy is just a bizarre experience. You have to have good hygiene, live alone, have good career prospects, have a solid physique, and preferably have head full of hair. You have to put in all the effort and hope that she doesn't ghost you. It's all too overwhelming. I don't think it's that weird and / frustrating if you know / accept the game and understand the rules gets changed haphazardly. I can see how it can get frustrating for some men though. I just commented on a post where the woman went on 3 dates with a guy and she said she felt like she conveyed she was interested in the man during their dates, but she wasn't. She was wondering how to tell him she no longer wants to date. The man probably thinks she is interested, so will be confused when she ends it. If you call the lack of consistent and/or clear communication out, then you are the bad guy or worse. So yay. Rules change constantly depending on where the wind blows. Honestly, take everything in the internet with a pinch of salt. I've realized everything is exaggerated and have a tendency to group people into tropes, when in reality, people are just more nuanced in person. Some advice is good, but just take everything with pinch of salt.